And now let's get to the biggest question, which is, what if my son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter does not go to college?
Yeah.
What then?
Yeah, that's a great question. First, I want to say, what is a qualified expense, right? So a lot of people think that, okay, this money can only be used if my son Johnny goes to Stanford, and that's just not true. It really opens up for any third level education. So that could be a training school, a beauty school, any school that's post high school, or any further education beyond that. And it's not just tuition. It can be tuition, books, room and board, computers, fees, health insurance. So there's a wide gambit of expenses that are qualified. Now, recent legislation has even opened up more, that now up to $10,000 of the 529 can be used for private high school. Okay, so if you're putting a 529 and there's money in there, you can now use it for a private high school up to $10,000 a year. And moreover, you can use $10,000 of it per year to utilize for student loan payments. Okay. So again, what they're trying to do is encourage you to utilize 529s as this tax advantage vehicle, opening up the number of qualified expenses that you can utilize the money for. But let's play devil's advocate, and like Matt said, and say, let's say they don't want to go to school, or they don't want to do any sort of third level education. Maybe they want to open up their own business or backpack Europe. That is not a qualified expense.
Jack becomes, he becomes the world's greatest soccer player ever. You got Messi, Ronaldo, then you got Jack Kenney. Yeah, exactly.
I hope it becomes that. If that happens, so there's a couple of things that you can do. One, again, as the owner of the account, so me as the parent, okay, of that account, I would change the beneficiary to my daughter, Saoirse, right? So I can do that as the owner. Let's say my son doesn't go to college. I can then change who the account is for and name my daughter. Maybe she's more likely to do that. So one thing is changing who the account is for. The IRS lets you change it to any immediate family member. So maybe you hold on to the account and you give it to a grandchild if your children have children, or maybe you give it to a niece or nephew. You can do that, okay? Two other things that you can do. Any money that is withdrawn from a 529 that is not used for qualified expenses, okay? So again, if they wanted to buy a car, the contributions, the money that you put in there all those years, that will come out without taxation, okay? That's because, remember, you didn't take a tax deduction when you put that money in. So your contributions come out tax-free. The gains attributed to those contributions will be taxed and penalized at 10% because you didn't use them for a qualified education. But wait, there's one more rule that just came into effect under the Secure Act 2.0 that now will allow you to roll a certain amount of that 529 to a Roth IRA in the child's name. So the rule states that if you've had this account for 15 years, okay, and the child doesn't use it for college expenses, that the child can open up a Roth IRA, and based on their earnings and the contribution limits of that year, up to $35,000 of that 529 can be rolled over year by year by the contribution limits into a Roth IRA to give it even more tax advantaged. So again, I bring it back to, yes, there may be a situation where if they want to, buy a house or buy a car, where there could be tax implications, but they're really opening a lot of avenues for you to avoid that and to, put it into a Roth IRA or change the beneficiary of that account.